The sound of a door slamming echoed through the apartment building as Michael Collins stood frozen in his hallway. The judgment in his landlady's eyes cutting deeper than any words could. "I saw you bring a woman home last night," Mrs. Winters had announced, arms crossed, her voice carrying enough for neighbors to hear. Michael's daughter Emma, just 7 years old with her mother's eyes, clutched her teddy bear tighter behind him. This wasn't the first confrontation, but it might be the most humiliating. "That was my daughter's teacher," Michael whispered, his voice strained. Parent-teacher conference because Emma's struggling since her mother died. The flash of embarrassment on Mrs. Winters' face disappeared quickly, replaced by practiced skepticism. She'd been watching him for months now, noting every visitor, every late night, every pizza delivery, as if a single father couldn't possibly be raising a child properly without supervision. Every morning, Michael woke at 5:30 to prepare Emma's lunch before his construction shift began. Every evening, he raced from work to after-school pickup, often still in his dust-covered clothes. The calendar on their refrigerator was a masterpiece of logistics, doctor appointments, dance classes, grocery runs, all carefully orchestrated around his unpredictable work schedule. Yet none of this mattered to the building's self-appointed moral guardian. "Daddy, are we in trouble again?" Emma asked later that night as Michael tucked her into bed, her small voice trembling. The weight of her question crushed something inside him. He'd moved them to this apartment after selling their house, the mortgage impossible on one income after Sarah's medical bills. It was supposed to be temporary, just until he found his footing again. Now his daughter was learning to walk through her own home with her head down. "No, sweetheart," he whispered, smoothing her hair. "Mrs. Winters just worries too much." But as he sat alone in the kitchen afterward, staring at Sarah's photograph, Michael wondered how much longer they could endure being treated like suspects in their own lives. Tomorrow was Emma's birthday. The social worker from grief counseling was coming to check on them. And somehow, he needed to make it all work while carrying the weight of 1,000 judgmental stares. The pipe burst at 3 in the morning, sending water cascading down the hallway outside Michael's apartment. Emma clutched her stuffed rabbit as they stood in puddles, watching Mrs. Winters frantically trying to shut off the main valve, her normally perfect hair plastered against her face, nightgown soaked through. "This is what happens," she snapped, hands trembling, "when tenants don't report dripping faucets." The accusation hung between them like a physical thing. Would this woman never give him peace? Something in Michael finally broke. "'Nuff," he said, voice low but firm. "Emma, go wait in our apartment, sweetheart." When his daughter was safely out of earshot, he stepped closer to Mrs. Winters. "I've tried to be understanding. I've smiled through your comments, your watching, your judgment. But I won't let my daughter grow up thinking she deserves to be treated this way." Mrs. Winters' face crumpled unexpectedly, her shoulders sagging as she slumped against the wall. "This building is all I have left," she whispered, eyes fixed on her wedding ring. "Harold built it with his own hands. We were supposed to grow old here together." Her voice caught. Then one morning he went for coffee and never came back. Heart attack at 52. The hallway dripped in silence as Michael saw her, really saw her, for the first time. Not the nosy landlady, but a woman terrified of losing the last connection to her husband. "Every time someone moves in," she continued, wiping her eyes with the back of her hand, "I watch them so carefully because I can't bear anything happening to this place. When I saw you with that woman I thought you might be like my sister's husband. He brought women home, then abandoned his children." Michael knelt beside her, helping to turn the stubborn valve. Their hands touched briefly, both wet and cold. "I'm not going anywhere, Mrs. Winters," he said softly. "Emma and we're just trying to rebuild, same as you." Something shifted between them in that flooded hallway, a wall beginning to crumble, revealing the wounded hearts on both sides. "She's back again," Mrs. Winters said, her voice cutting through the Saturday morning quiet as Michael unloaded groceries from his car. The same woman from last week, tall, blonde, laughing too loudly with Emma on the front steps. Michael's jaw tightened, the weight of constant surveillance crushing his patience. Would this woman ever give them room to breathe? He set down the bags, prepared for another confrontation that would leave Emma in tears. But before he could speak, his sister Kate bounded over, wrapping Mrs. Winters in an unexpected hug. "You must be the famous Mrs. Winters." "I'm Kate, Michael's sister." Emma's been telling me all about how you make the best snickerdoodles in the building. The older woman stood frozen, confusion washing over her face as Kate continued. I've been coming down weekends to help with Emma while Michael picks up extra shifts. Single dad life is no joke, right? The color drained from Mrs. Winter's face as understanding dawned. I thought, she began, then stopped, her hand fluttering to her throat. The grocery bag sat forgotten on the sidewalk as an awkward silence stretched between them. Aunt Kate's teaching me to braid hair, Emma announced, oblivious to the tension. Mommy used to do it. But Daddy's fingers are too big. The simple statement hung in the air, a reminder of all they'd lost. Something shifted in Mrs. Winter's expression. I used to be quite good at French braids, she offered hesitantly. If you'd like to learn. That afternoon, the unlikely trio sat on Mrs. Winter's floral couch, Emma between them, as gentle hands demonstrated the careful over-under pattern. My Harold had a daughter from his first marriage, Mrs. Winters confessed quietly. She stopped visiting after he died. Said it was too painful. Her fingers never stopped their gentle work in Emma's hair, but Michael saw the tremble in them. We're having spaghetti tonight. Michael found himself saying, nothing fancy, but there's always too much. The invitation hung between them, fragile, unexpected. Mrs. Winters, Eleanor. She corrected softly, looked up, her eyes meeting his with something new. Not suspicion. Not judgment. Something that looked remarkably like hope. The pink slip felt impossibly light in Michael's hands for something that carried such devastating weight. Downsizing, they called it. 3 years at the construction company, gone in a 15-minute meeting. He sat in his truck, rain drumming on the roof, unable to move. How would he tell Emma? The rent was already 2 weeks late, and Eleanor, Mrs. Winters, had been so patient, but patience had limits. His fingers trembled as he turned the key, the engine sputtering to life like his fragile hopes. Eleanor knew something was wrong the moment she saw his face in the hallway. Emma's at my place, she said, her voice gentle. We're making cookies. The simple kindness broke something in him. He hadn't cried since Sarah's funeral, but now tears came unbidden, hot and shameful. Eleanor didn't flinch. She simply took his calloused hand and led him to her apartment, the scent of vanilla and cinnamon enveloping them. Daddy. Emma called from the kitchen, flour dusting her cheeks. We're making heart cookies. Her innocent joy was a knife twist. Eleanor squeezed his hand once before releasing it, a silent promise to keep his secret for now. Later. After Emma had fallen asleep on Eleanor's sofa, surrounded by cookie crumbs and childhood innocence, the truth spilled out between them. I've been saving for her college since she was born, Michael whispered, staring into his cooling tea. Now I might not make next month's rent. The admission hung in the air, raw and exposed. Eleanor's hand found his across the table, her touch no longer tentative but sure. Harold left me more than this building, she said quietly. He left me his contracting business. It's small, but, her eyes met his, something unspoken passing between them. The foreman just quit last week. The position needs someone who understands both the work and the workers. Michael looked up, confusion giving way to understanding. Eleanor, I can't accept charity. It's not charity, she interrupted, her voice stronger now. It's belief. In you. Her fingers tightened around his. And in that moment, Michael saw not his landlady but a woman whose heart had somehow become entwined with his own. We all fall, Michael, she whispered. The blessing is not in never falling. It's in who's there to help you stand again. The Christmas lights twinkled across the apartment building's courtyard as Michael hung the last ornament on their tree, a small ceramic heart Emma had painted with 3 stick figures. Is it time yet, Daddy? Emma bounced on her toes, already in her party dress. Hair carefully braided by Eleanor's steady hands earlier that morning. The past 6 months had transformed their lives in ways Michael could never have imagined that rainy night when Eleanor had first knocked on their door with soup and an apology. Almost, sweetheart. Eleanor said 7 o'clock. His voice caught slightly on her name, still adjusting to the warmth it now carried. The woman who had once been his nemesis now held the spare key to their apartment. The woman who had once watched his every move with suspicion now watched Emma on Tuesday evenings so he could attend his grief support group. Small steps, fragile trust. Building something neither of them had names for yet. The knock came precisely at 7. Eleanor stood in the doorway, holding a casserole dish, her silver hair swept up elegantly. Merry Christmas Eve, she whispered, her eyes finding Michael's across the room. The electricity between them was new, tentative, but undeniable. Emma launched herself forward, wrapping her arms around Eleanor's waist. "We made your favorite cookies. And Daddy hung the special ornament you gave us right in front." Later, after Emma had fallen asleep on the couch, Michael and Eleanor sat side by side, shoulders touching, watching the tree lights cast gentle shadows. "I never thought I'd feel like I belonged anywhere again after Harold," Eleanor admitted, her voice soft in the quiet room. "I was so afraid of being hurt that I pushed everyone away." Michael's hand found hers in the space between them, fingers intertwining slowly. "Sarah would have liked you." He said the words both painful and healing. "She always said family isn't about who you're born to, but who you can't imagine living without." Eleanor's eyes glistened in the Christmas lights as she squeezed his hand. On the coffee table sat the papers Eleanor had brought over, her gift to them. A lease extension with the rent reduced, and something Elsie adoption papers for Emma's class goldfish that needed a home over the school break. A small family, being built one careful day at a time, by people who had learned that the heart's capacity for love never truly diminishes, even when broken. If this story touched your heart today, remember that second chances often arrive in unexpected packages. Sometimes the very people who challenge us most become the ones who heal our deepest wounds. Life rarely follows the path we expect, but that's where the most beautiful journeys begin. If you found comfort in Michael and Eleanor's story, share it with someone who might need a reminder that family can be found in the most surprising places. Like and subscribe for more stories that remind us all that it's never too late for love to find its way home.